first speaker this morning is Monica Wilson, OBE. And Monica is the former CEO of Disability Action, and she is a lifelong human rights campaigner. She has advocated a human rights-based approach to disability throughout her life, working with a wide range of people to demonstrate why this is the only approach that will make a real change in the lives of people with disabilities. Monica has significant expertise in developing and piloting social inclusion projects and in working to mainstream new and innovative programs. She is committed to promoting the human rights of people with disabilities in the context of Northern Ireland's current social and political reform. I know I was speaking to Michael McCabe, the chairperson of the Centre for Independent Living, who knows Monica, and he certainly has spoken very highly of her. Without any further adoing, I'll pass you on to Monica Wilson.
That's a very nice speech about me, but really what I do is try to talk passionately about the issues that concern me as a person with a disability. And all of this, and can I thank all the organisers for this unique conference. I think that human rights, disabled people's human rights, have been systematically abused. And it doesn't matter what part of the country or what part of the nation you want to talk about, that is the truth. And it's the truth that we need to work on. What does the convention say? By the way, I'm not going to be talking either legalistically or anything else. I'll be talking from my experience. What does the convention say? So there are 50 articles. They cover civil, political, economic, social and cultural rights. And they're based on a set of fundamental principles, which I'll talk about later. As the speaker said, the conference doesn't introduce new rights, but it affirms existing rights. But I think it's very, there's a fearmonger going on about this, and it says that there's new rights, it's going to cost a lot of money, and it's not worth it. And all of that is not right. What we are trying to do is talk about people being people who are part of our society and who deserve not merit or anything else, but deserve the same treatment as everybody else. And that's very simply the message that I want to give. There are a load of principles about the convention, but I think the first one and the most important one is dignity. It's not enough for us to do things with other people. We want to do them with ourselves. We want to have the dignity to go where we want and do the things that we want, free and independent. And I think that's the common thing. Things are happening in GB that talk about freedom of choice, and that is very important for people who have no choice or very little choice until recently. I'm not going to read them all, but the other one is about respect for differences. We're not talking about me as a disabled person. We're talking about me as a woman. We're talking to me, my sexual orientation, all of those things that make me as a person. But the one that is most obvious for me is as a disabled person. And I think all of that stuff, this is the 21st century and we don't have access. For me, that's important. But we don't have other human rights that we deserve. I think the other thing that's important in this is there's a respect for children with disabilities, because I think we need to talk about the new generation and we need to make sure that it's right for them too. And I think I'm not going to go into all the detail, but one of the important things is Article 33, which is about monitoring and implementation. And that's unique because that doesn't exist in other human rights legislation. And the Equality Commission and the Human Rights Commission in GB are the monitoring committee, and you'll hear from them later on as well. It's very important, and the main message I want to make is that you are the most important thing. You need to understand the convention, you need to work it, and you need to deal with it every day when you see human rights abuses. And there's, every state has to produce an annual report to the UN Convention, or UN Committee on the Rights of People with Disabilities, on their progress. And some people here have already been to Geneva for not so long ago to do that. The other thing is that NGOs can actually produce an alternative report, and that's fairly strong in terms of the UN committee. So what are the benefits of a convention? I think the convention increases the level of protection of disabled people's human rights. Now that's obviously it's that, but part of that is that individual cases should be left until every other avenue is exposed, and then we do that. It's based on international standards, and they don't change. They may be very basic, but they don't change. It can be used as a training tool and as an effective lobbying tool, and it fits in the gaps in UK law. And we've had it for 10 years. So the first thing you have to do is learn from our mistakes. We've used it to set the policy framework and to do alternative reporting. The training, we've done training, particularly on people with disabilities. We've done 2 or 3 levels that allow people to understand the issues and speak for themselves. We've done a bit of work on advocacy for people with disabilities. And I think here we need to talk about what I see as the unlikely alliances. It's really very important that the cooperation and the contact with people who have power is more important, I think, than anything else. I think we've challenged decisions, and I think more importantly, people need to know their rights and to act on them, and not to be afraid. And I think for some people, there is a fear of leaving, letting their services go, or being seen as a troublemaker or whatever. It is right for us to be a troublemaker. Nobody else does it but us, and it's important that that happens. So we've done training for disabled people, and that's very, very important. There's people here who have done that work, and I congratulate them on that. But we've also done training for public authorities. For example, we've done work with the Department of Agriculture, their senior staff. They've done 1-day course. We've done a health and social services toolkit. So we've written a series of presumptions that people can look at a website and decide for themselves which part of the jigsaw is important for them. We've done a lot of information about informing people in policy. For example, the disability strategy, which didn't really work in Northern Ireland, but we've sort of got something, although we haven't got any government at the minute, but we've got something else. We've done a lot of work on the disability strategy. It was the only document that took a human rights-based approach to start off with. And that's important. It's starting up that's the important, not the halfway through or the end. We've done a lot of work on the mental capacity legislation and on the reform of health and social care. And we haven't used it really for individual complaints in the sense that it goes to the highest level and comes back. But we have key messages to give you. I hope you accept them. And it says the framing disability in a human rights context is really very important. It's unique and needs to be done. Using the policy for a framework so that it becomes natural and ordinary and just the way to do things. Using the tool as for lobbying and engagement. But more important of all, and I've said it a couple of times, so I'll say it again, it is that we use a bottom-up approach. We take which are the issues for people with disabilities and take them to the priority. And you need to prepare yourselves. It's not enough to do this is really nice thing. What we have to do is use the knowledge and use it to effect for people who really haven't got much knowledge. I'm kind of cynical about that, but I've been cynical for a long time, so it's not going to change. Quoted at every opportunity. It helps people to understand the approach because people don't understand that approach yet. Influence it at every opportunity and work together. And the strong word here is together, because each of us, we're not a herd. There's not one individual person with a disability who speaks for everybody else. So we need to work together. The politics of disability and the political life of disabled people is very complex. And we need, right now, before this even comes in, to work together for an alternative report and examination. And to say it again, and I have no apologies for doing that, we make sure that all the mechanisms involved are at the heart and at all levels of people with disabilities. So I have no idea what the time is, but I'm sure I'm soon to finish. And there's nobody making any signs at me, so it's all right too. So the key message we have is to prioritise. What are the gravest violations of rights? So you try to concentrate that, because we all have limited resources and we need to make the best effect of them. Where are the systematic long-term violations of rights? And there are loads of them. I think the other thing is that the backlash of this is about retrogression of rights, and we need to protect that. And remember that it can be an impact on lots of disabled people, or just a small number. That doesn't mean the small number is not important, but it's about prioritisation again.
Sorry, Monica,
Oh, sorry. I'm not at the stage. I'm old enough not to wear my glasses. Yes?
Look, I see the sign coming from the floor.
Sorry?
I see we've about 20 seconds.
Oh, well, that's okay. You took 10 of it. Nearly finished. Right. Sorry, that was a bit rude. I think I've actually made my point. The point is I'm not an academic, I'm not a lawyer, I'm none of those things, but what I am is a person who can use this law to greatest effect to ensure that my rights are better, not necessarily all the same, but better, and that we need to get people with disabilities to work together. I thought Michael was going to say something rude about me, but that wasn't the case. I know some of you here. I worked as the Northern Social. No, I didn't work in any of those. The Irish Wheelchair Association, the sports secretary. So I did. It was a long time ago, but I know some people, what I have is friends and allies, and that's very important. And I think that's the 20 seconds up.